Have you ever faced a difficult situation and you tell yourself, I can do it. Kaya ko to. Yan pala, pagdating sa actual na situation, hindi mo pala nakayanan. Yan ang nagiging karanasan ni Apostle Peter at ito ang ating pag-aaralan sa linggo na ito. Welcome po mga kapatid sa ating lesson learned. Ang ating Sabbath School lesson na pag-aaralan ngayon ay pinamagatang Jesus Before Annas and Caiaphas. Ito po yung lesson number 1 dito po sa last segment ng ating pag-aaral sa The Gospel According to John. Dito sa ating memory verse ay sinasabi, He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth. Isaiah 53 verse 7. Dito naman po sa Desire of Ages, page 679, Christ did not fail, neither was he discouraged, and his followers are to manifest a faith of the same enduring nature. They are to live as he lived and work as he worked, because they depend on him as the great master worker. Tandaan po natin, yung hula dito sa Isaiah chapter 53 verse 7, natupad po ito sa buhay ni Jesus Christ. Noong siya po ay inaresto at hinusgahan, hinatulan. Parang tupa na dinala doon sa slaughter, pero he openeth not his mouth. Yan po ang katuparan ng Isaiah chapter 53 verse 7. So, dadako tayo mga kapatid dito sa ating first subtopic, before the Jewish officials. After his arrest at Gethsemane, before whom was Jesus violently taken? Ayon po sa John chapter 18 verse 12 to 14 at Matthew 26 verse 57, si Jesus, nung siya po ay inaresto ng mga Jewish officials, siya po ay kinaladkad, dinala po doon sa baba ng bundok at unang-una, dinala siya doon kay Anas. Pagkatapos, dinala kay Caiaphas. Yan po ang sinasabi dito sa talata. Basahin natin. John 18 verse 12 to 14. Then the band and the captain and officers of the Jews took Jesus and bound him and led him away to Annas first. For he was father-in-law to Caiaphas, which was the high priest that same year. So si Caiaphas pala yung acting, yung kasalukuyan na high priest sa taon na yun. Pero bakit inuna muna doon kay Anas na dinala? Sino po ba si Anas maliban sa information na siya ay father-in-law ni Caiaphas? Okay. Dito po sa Desire of Ages, page 698, ang sabi, Anas was the head of the officiating priestly family. And in deference to his age, he was recognized by the people as high priest. Okay, so ganito po ang sitwasyon. Ito pa lang si Caiaphas na acting high priest on that year, mas bata kaysa kay Anas. Kaya nga si Anas, father-in-law niya eh. So si Caiaphas, meaning asawa niya, yung babae na anak ni Anas. So natural, mas matanda siya. At dahil mas matanda, mas marami siyang karanasan. Ngayon, tuloy natin. In deference to his age, he was recognized by the people as high priest. More than that, his counsel was sought and carried out as the voice of God. Dahil doon sa kanyang mahabang karanasan at saka doon nakikita ng mga tao yung kanyang wisdom, itinuturing nila na yung kanyang counsel ay parang boses na ng Diyos yun. Mabigat ang dating sa mga tao yung mga binibitawan niyang mga salita dahil nakuha niya talaga ang trust ng mga tao sa kanya. He must first see Jesus as a captive to priestly power. He must be present at the examination of the prisoner for fear that the less experienced Caiaphas might fail of securing the object for which they were working. Bago si Jesus ay arestuhin, pinag-usapan na nila at kasama si Caiaphas doon sa nagplano. So, understood na meron silang usapan na pag nahuli ay huwag dadalhin doon kay Caiaphas, at huwag siyang hahatulan, huwag siyang imbestigahan na wala si Anas. Ipapaalam muna kay Anas, saka dadalhin doon kay Caiaphas. At dapat nandun si Anas habang iniimbestigahan itong si Jesus. Ano ba yung object nila, yung layunin nila? Na talagang dapat makonvict siya as a criminal para ma-ensure na sigurado na found guilty si Jesus Christ, and then ipapapatay nila sa Roman authorities. Dahil doon po sa panahon na yon, yung mga Israelites, they do not have the civil power to put a criminal to death dahil nandun sila sa ilalim ng Roman rule. Okay, next question. Which disciples followed Christ's trial from a distance? Sabi dito sa John 18 verse 15. And Simon Peter followed Jesus. So yan, isa na yun si Peter. And so did another disciple. Sino yung another disciple? That disciple was known unto the high priest and went with Jesus into the palace of the high priest. Dito sa dalawang disciples na sumunod, ito pala si Peter at saka si John. Kasi ayon dito sa Desire of Ages, after deserting their master in the garden, two of the disciples had ventured to follow at a distance the mob that had Jesus in charge. These disciples were Peter and John. Pero dito sa dalawa, si Peter at saka si John, itong si Peter hindi kilala ng high priest. Hindi rin kilala ng mga kasama ng high priest doon personally. Pero si John kilala ng high priest as one of Christ's disciples. At parang maganda ang relasyon. Wala namang evidence na nakikita natin dito na yung high priest ay galit dito kay John. Maganda yung kanilang ugnayan. And went in with Jesus into the palace of the high priest. Palasyo pala ang tinitirhan ng high priest ng mga Hudyo nung araw. These disciples were Peter and John. The priest recognized John as a well-known disciple of Jesus and admitted him to the hall, hoping that as he witnessed the humiliation of his leader, he would scorn the idea of such a one being the Son of God. John spoke in favor of Peter and gained an entrance to him also. Naging mabait ang trato ng high priest dito kay John. Ay agad-agad niyang pinapasok para masilayan, masaksihan ni John kung papaano siya hahatulan, papaano siya i-humiliate, papaano siya pahirapan, nang sa ganon is mawala sana, ma-discourage sana ito si John at i-give up niya yung idea at paniniwala na itong si Jesus is the Son of God. Pero hindi siya nagtagumpay sa kanyang layunin dahil noong natapos na hinatulan nila si Jesus at pinapatay, hindi naman na-discourage si John. Nanatili pa rin ang kanyang pagtitiwala dito kay Jesus Christ as the Son of God. Balik tayo dito kay Peter. Ito naman si Peter naiwan doon sa labas ng palasyo. Ayaw papusukin ng gwardya. So ang ginawa ni John, pinakiusapan niya na papasukin ito si Peter. Kaya pinapasok naman si Peter. Okay, dito tayo sa subtopic number 2. Peter denies Jesus. Where did Peter place himself? Saan inilagay ni Pedro ang kanyang sarili nung siya ay nakapasok na doon sa palasyo? Doon pala sa loob, merong fireside. Nagpapaapoy sila doon, nagsusunog sila ng kahoy para mainitan yung lugar. Wala namang kuryente nung araw. So asahan natin na ang ginagawa nila na heater is yung fireside. Basahin po natin. John chapter 18 verse 16. And Peter stood at the door without. Then went out that other disciple which was known unto the high priest, and spake unto her that kept the door, and brought in Peter. So nakapasok na. Verse 18, and the servant and officers stood there, who had made a fire of coals, for it was cold, and they warmed themselves, and Peter stood with them and warmed himself. So pumunta siya doon sa lugar na ang daming mga tao na pinapainit ang kanilang sarili doon sa malapit sa apoy. So doon pumunta si Pedro Ang tanong, ano palang inaasahan ni Pedro? Bakit siya doon pumunta? Bakit hindi pumunta doon sa malapit doon sa mga jury na humahatol kay Jesus Christ? Desire of Ages 710 sabi, in the court, a fire had been kindled, for it was the coldest hour of the night, being just before the dawn. So, madaling araw pala yun. Yun ang kalamigan ng panahon. A company drew out the fire, and Peter presumptuously took his place with them. He did not wish to be recognized as a disciple of Jesus. Doon siya doon sa malayo, doon sa may fireside, nakisalamuha sa mga tao, ayaw pala niya na ma-recognize ng mga tao na siya ay disciple ni Jesus Christ. Contrary doon sa attitude naman ni John. Si John naman, hindi siya nahihiya na ma-recognize siya na disciple ni Jesus Christ. Kilala nga niya yung high priest, so magkaiba yung kanilang nagiging attitude. Si Pedro ayaw makilala ng mga tao na siya ay disciple. By mingling carelessly with the crowd, he hoped to be taken for one of those who had brought Jesus to the hall. Ayun, inaasahan niya na maitago yung pagiging disciple niya at isipin ng mga taong nakakakita sa kanya na siya ay kasama doon sa mga nag-aresto kay Jesus at dinala si Jesus dito sa palace of the high priest. Ayun pala ang kanyang layunin doon. This is already the beginning of his fall. Mamaya malalaman natin kung ano ang nagiging resulta ng kanyang ginawa na yon, yung pagtatago niya sa kanyang real identity. Ang tanong dito, how did Peter deny his Lord? Okay, basahin natin John 18 verse 17. Then saith the damsel that kept the door unto Peter, art not thou also one of these man's disciple? He said, I am not. Yan. And Simon Peter stood and warmed himself. He said therefore unto him, art not thou also one of his disciples? He denied it and said, I am not. One of the servants of the high priest, being his kinsman, whose ear Peter cut off, said, did not I see thee in the garden with him? Peter then denied again, and immediately the cock crew. Okay. Dito naman sa version ni Luke, but a certain maid beheld him as he sat by the fire, and earnestly looked upon him and said, this man was also with him. And he denied him, saying, woman, I know him not. And after a little while, another saw him and said, thou art also one of them. And Peter said, man, I am not. Talagang second time na yon. And about the space of 1 hour, after another confidently affirmed, saying, of a truth, this fellow also was with him, for he is a Galilean. So, medyo madiin yung pagsasabi nitong isa na, oh, ito talagang one of the disciple of Jesus Christ. Pero anong sabi ni Peter? And Peter said, man, I know not what thou sayest. And immediately, while he yet spake, the cock crowed. Ayan. And Peter remembered the word of Jesus, which said unto him, before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. And he went out and wept bitterly. Ayan. Naalala ni Pedro yung sinabi ni Jesus Christ earlier during the evening, noong nandun pa sila doon sa location na doon nila ginanap yung Last Supper. Sabi niya kay Jesus Christ na, pwedeng iwanan ka ng lahat, pero I will never forsake you. Pero sabi ni Jesus Christ, before the cock crow, you will deny me thrice. Basahin pa natin ang dagdag na explanation dahil merong maganda dito na lesson na makukuha natin dito sa Desire of Ages, page 712. Peter had not designed that his real character should be known. In assuming an air of indifference, he had placed himself on the enemy's ground, and he became an easy prey to temptation. If he had been called to fight for his master, he would have been a courageous soldier. But when the finger of his scorn was pointed at him, he proved himself a coward. Many who do not shrink from active warfare for their Lord are driven by ridicule to deny their faith. So dito po ay meron tayong magandang leksyon na dapat matutunan dito. Ito palang ginawa ni Peter, in assuming an air of indifference, he had placed himself on the enemy's ground. Yung pagtatago niya ng kanyang real identity as a disciple of Jesus Christ. Yun po ang lesson sa atin na huwag sana po nating gawin yun. Bakit? Sapagkat sa karanasan, pag tayo po ay lumadayo doon sa ibang mga simbahan, ayaw natin ipakilala yung ating sarili dahil meron tayong kinatatakutan na baka pagkamalaman nila, magiging prejudiced sila sa atin at mawalan tayo ng pagkakataon na maibahagi yung mensahe. Kung minsan, pinipili natin na itago ang ating identity, hindi tayo magpapakilala. Pero ang problema pala dito, we will be placing ourselves in the enemy's ground. Tapos matutokso tayo, we will become an easy prey to temptation. Ibig sabihin nun, masusundan yung kamalian na yun. Mas malakas yung tendency na we will be denying Jesus Christ, like Apostle Peter. Kaya sabi dito, kung tinawagan sana siya na makipaglaban ng yung talagang totoong bakbakan, alang-alang sa kanyang master, gagawin niya yun. Hindi siya aatras, talagang makipaglaban siya. At nakita naman natin, nung arestuhin, talagang handang makipagbakbakan. Yung katapangan niya na yon, sa ibang sitwasyon, nagiging coward siya. Sabi dito, but when the finger of his scorn was pointed at him, he proved himself a coward. Many who do not shrink from active warfare for their Lord are driven by ridicule to deny their faith. By associating with those whom they should avoid, they place themselves in the way of temptation. They invite the enemy to tempt them and are led to say and do that of which under other circumstances they would never have been guilty. The disciple of Christ, who in our day disguise his faith through the dread of suffering or reproach, denies his Lord as really as did Peter in the judgment hall. Okay, so ito po, yung mga sa ngayon daw, yung mga disciples of Christ, mga Kristiyano, na nagdi-disguise ng kanilang pananampalataya, ayaw ihayag yung totoong identity nila as reformers. Sabi dito, dahil sa they are afraid of suffering or tutuyain sila. By doing that, they deny their Lord as really as did Peter in the judgment hall. Kaya dito po sa dalawang example natin na disciples, si John at saka si Peter, sa kaso na ito, mas maganda po na i-adapt natin, na sundin natin yung example ni John, na talagang lantaran, na magpakilala na talaga na siya ay disciple. Hindi yung itago. Example to shun, yung pinakita ni Peter dito, mapanganib, yung itago-tago pa natin ang ating real identity. Okay. Next, dito tayo sa third subtopic. Peter's conversion. Mabuti na lang na-convert si Peter, no? After denying the master for the third time and hearing the cock crow, what did Peter recall and what did he do? Sa Matthew 26, verse 75 at saka Mark 14, verse 72, nalalaman natin doon na noong narinig nga ni Pedro yung tilaok ng manok, naalala niya yung sinabi ni Jesus at napaiyak siya. Siya ay tumakbo dahil nalaman niya na guilty siya. Feeling of guilt has driven him to run away from the hall. Noong nakarating doon sa Gethsemane, umiyak siya dahil damang-dama niya na mali talaga yung kanyang ginawa. While the degrading oath were fresh upon Peter's lips. Yung parang nagsumpa siya na na talagang hindi siya disciple ni Jesus Christ at hindi niya kilala si Jesus Christ. And the thrill crowing of the cock was still ringing in his ears. The Savior turned from the frowning judges and looked full upon his poor disciple. At the same time, Peter's eyes were drawn to his master. In that gentle countenance, he read deep pity and sorrow, but there was no anger there. So, wala siyang nakita na tanda na siya ay galit sa kanya. Ang nakita niya sa mukha ni Jesus is pity and sorrow. The sight of that pale, suffering face, those quivering lips, that look of compassion and forgiveness pierced his heart like an arrow. Conscience was aroused. Memory was active. Peter called to mind his promise of a few short hours before that he would go with his Lord to prison and to death. He remembered his grief when the Savior told him in the upper chamber that he would deny his Lord thrice at that night. Peter had just declared that he knew not Jesus, but he now realized with bitter grief how well his Lord knew him and how accurately he had read his heart, the falseness of which was unknown even to himself. Ayun. Next question. Where did the humiliated disciple go? Doon sa Gethsemane tumakbo. What had been the cause of his great sin? Okay, dito natin tutuklasin kasi hindi naman binanggit doon sa yung paliwanag sa Bible. Ano talaga ang nagiging dahilan ng pagkakasalan ni Pedro? Ano ba yung kasalanan niya? Yung pag-deny niya kay Jesus Christ. Basahin po natin. Peter pressed on the solitude and darkness. He knew not and cared not whither. So gabi yun, ano? At last, he found himself in Gethsemane. The scene of a few hours before came vividly to his mind. The suffering face of his Lord, stained with bloody sweat and convulsed with anguish, rose before him. He remembered with bitter remorse that Jesus had wept and agonized in prayer alone, while those who should have united with him in that trying hour were sleeping. Naalala niya ngayon yung sitwasyon na naghihirap si Jesus, samantalang sila ay nakatulog. It was in his sleeping when Jesus bade him watch and pray that Peter had prepared the way for his great sin. Ano ang nag-prepare the way for Peter to deny his Lord before the people in the judgment hall? Yun palang nagsimula doon sa nung nandun pa sila sa Gethsemane. Nung sabi ni Jesus Christ na, dito kayo, watch and pray. Pero hindi nila na gawa yon. Natulog sila. Yon pala ang simula ng kanilang failure. So, ang lesson dito mga kapatid, ito palang ating pakikibaka sa spiritual. Kagaya ito ng mga athlete. Halimbawa lang, itong mga athletes natin sa boxing, sa basketball, o kaya sa takbuhan, ang sekreto ng kanilang tagumpay, nagsisimula doon sa kanilang training. With their proper training, malaki ang porsyento na mananalo sila. Pag doon sa training o kulang sila ng training, pagdating doon sa actual na bakbakan, failure sila. Ganon din dito, yung sekreto ng ating success sa actual na temptation is kapag natuto tayo po na wala pang temptation, ano? Wala pa tayo doon sa actual na testing, magsanay na tayo, magiging mapanalangin na tayo. Huwag tayong magtiwala sa ating sarili, matuto tayo na magtiwala sa Panginoon, mag-rely sa tulong ng Panginoon, at huwag tayong magiging self-confident na sasabihin sa ating sarili, kayang-kaya ko. Kayang-kaya ko sa aking sarili na tayuan yan. Kung kayo natatakot, ako hindi ako natatakot. Alam ko ang aking sarili, kayang-kaya ko dahil malakas ang aking pananampalataya. Pag ganun po yung ating attitude, mga kapatid, at hindi tayo mag-humble, pagdating doon sa actual na testing period, babagsak tayo kagaya ni Peter. So tandaan po natin yun. All the disciples, by sleeping in that critical hour, sustained a great loss. Christ knew the fiery ordeal through which they were to pass. He knew how Satan would work to paralyze their senses that they might be unready for the trial. Therefore, it was that he gave them warning. Had those hours in the garden been spent in watching and prayer, Peter would not have been left to depend upon his own feeble strength. He would not have denied his Lord. Okay. So, kung sinunod sana daw ni Pedro yung instruction ni Jesus na nag-watch and pray at hindi siya natulog, nag-commit siya sa kanyang sarili, nagpakumbaba at humingi ng tulong sa Panginoon, hindi sana niya na-deny ang kanyang Panginoon doon sa actual na trying period. Yan po ang lesson sa atin. So huwag nawang mangyari yung karanasan ni Pedro sa ating karanasan. Okay. Dito tayo sa fourth subtopic, the interrogation of Christ. What question did Annas direct to Jesus? Sa John 18 verse 19, the high priest then asked Jesus of his disciples and of his doctrine. So nagtanong ngayon yung high priest kay Jesus tungkol sa kanyang mga disciples and his doctrine. Alam niyo ba ang sekreto kung bakit ganito ang kanyang tanong? Ano bang naglalaro doon sa isip ni high priest? Basahin natin sa Desire of Ages 699. If convicted of sedition, it could secure Christ's condemnation by the Romans. The second charge Annas tried first to establish. He questioned Jesus concerning his disciples and his doctrines, hoping the prisoner would say something that would give him material upon which to work. He thought to draw out some statements to prove that he was seeking to establish a secret society with the purpose of setting up a new kingdom. Then the priest could deliver him to the Romans as a disturber of the peace and a creator of insurrection. So yon pala ang plan A ng high priest. Gusto niyang makakuha ng ebidensya na si Jesus Christ by recruiting disciples, he is planning for a rebellion against the Roman government. Naghahanda siya ng insurrection o rebellion. At gagamitin yon para isumbong siya doon sa Roman authorities para siya ay ipapatay. Pero nag-fail yung plano ni high priest dito. Jesus answered him, I speak openly to the word. I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple whither the Jews always resort. And in secret have I said nothing. Why askest thou me? Ask them which heard me, that I have said to them unto them, behold, they know what I say. Anong ibig sabihin ni Jesus? Sabi, wala naman akong sinasabi sa sikreto eh. Yung aral ko, open yan, napapakinggan ng mga tao. Hindi naman ako nagsisikreto eh. Nagturo pa ako sa templo, kaya sa halip na ako ang tatanungin nyo doon sa mga tao na nakakarinig sa aking mga turo. At silang magpapatutuo kung ano ang doktrina na ipinangangaral ko. Ayan ang sabi niya. And when he had thus spoken, one of the officers which stood by struck Jesus with a palm on his hand, saying, Answerest thou the high priest so? Jesus answered him, If I have spoken evil, bear witness of the evil. But if well, why smitest thou me? Dito, sumagot si Jesus ng maalumanay pagkatapos na siya ay sinampal ng malakas. Kasi parang nung pagtatanong niya, pinapalabas na yun ay, kung bagay, is disrespect kasi sumasagot sa ganun na opisyal, kaya sinampal si Jesus. Pero malumanay na nagpaliwanag si Jesus. Sabi niya, kung ako ay nagsabi ng masama, eh di patunayan mo kung anong masamang sinasabi ko. Kung wala naman akong sinasabi na masama, bakit mo ako sinampal? Pero ang maganda, nagsalita siya ng ganun na malumanay, pero hindi siya nag-retaliate na parang galit at hindi siya nakipag-away, hindi siya nakipag-sampalan. Hindi yung sinampal siya tapos sinampal din niya yung nagsampal sa kanya. Walang ganun. Napaka-amo ang pinakita ni Jesus na ugali sa kanyang mga kaaway. Kaya natupad sa kanya yung hula ng Isaiah 53 verse 7. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before his shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth. Hindi naman yung talagang hindi nagsalita, pero hindi siya nag-retaliate. Kaya basahin natin dito sa paglilinaw po ng Desire of Ages 700. Sabi dito, Christ spoke no burning words of retaliation. His calm answer came from the heart sinless, patient, and gentle that would not be provoked. Hindi yung hindi siya nagsalita, yung hula na yon, kung iba siguro ang makakabasa niyan, baka sasabihin na mali. Bakit sabi doon na he opened not his mouth? Eh, nag-open naman si Jesus ng kanyang mouth, nagpaliwanag. Pero ang punto pala doon, hindi siya nag-retaliate angrily. Sabi dito, Christ spoke no burning words of retaliation. Yan ang punto. Sumagot siya pero kalmado ang sagot niya. Galing sa isang puso na sinless, walang kasalanan, at patient and gentle, that would not provoke, na hindi ba yung nakakainis. Christ suffered keenly under abuse and insult at the hand of the beings whom he had created and for whom he was making an infinite sacrifice. He received every indignity, and he suffered in proportion to the perfection of his holiness and his hatred of sin. His trial by men who acted as fiends was to him a perpetual sacrifice. To be surrounded by human beings under the control of Satan was revolting to him, and he knew that in a moment, by the flashing forth of his divine power, he would lay his cruel tormentors in the dust. This made the trial the harder to bear. So, yung pangyayari na yon, nasa trying position pala si Jesus Christ. Nasusubok yung kanyang ugali. At matindi pala sa kanya kasi doon din sa kanya palang damdamin, alam niya na itong mga tormentors niya na ito, kaya naman niya na talunin sila, isang iglap lang. He has the power kasi Diyos nga siya. Pero yung kakayanan na ngayon, nagiging parang burden sa kanya, nagpapahirap kasi kung baga yung may power ka na kayang-kaya mong pag sinuntok mo bagsak. Pero kailangan pigilan mo yon. Mahirap yon. This made the trial of Jesus harder to bear. Halimbawa, yung helpless na isang tao, so minamaltrato, talagang yan, madali lang na sumuko eh. Kasi helpless nga siya, wala siyang magawa. Pero yung isang hindi helpless, yung kayang-kaya niyang itumba yung kalaban, pero kailangan na pigilan niya ang kanyang sarili, yon ang mahirap. Kaya sabi dito, thus when Christ was treated with contempt, there came to him a strong temptation to manifest his divine character. By a word, by a look, he could compel his persecutors to confess that he was Lord above kings and rulers, priests and temple. But it was his difficult task to keep to the position he had chosen as one with humanity. Yan. Kasi pagka mag-retaliate siya, matatalo siya. Kaya iba ang labanan, iba yung spiritual battle, ibang usapan yun. Kailangan pala na yung battle na pinasukan ni Jesus, kahit tuksuhin siya, kahit malakas yung pressure, dapat hindi siya makagawa ng masama. Yan yung yung mahirap na battle na pinasok niya. Pero nagtagumpay siya. Talagang napigilan niya ang kanyang sarili, hindi siya nag-retaliate, hindi siya nakipagsuntukan, hindi siya argumento ng yung bang pagalit, kundi maamo pa rin na maintain niya yung kanyang humility at saka yung kaamuhan niya, meekness. Dito tayo sa last subtopic, number 5, condemned for identifying himself. Not finding any conclusive evidence to condemn Jesus, what question did Caiaphas put to the Savior? So, yung kaninang natutunan natin na yung plan A ni Caiaphas na makakuha sana through his interrogation of Jesus, makakuha ng ebidensya para magamit niya to prove na si Jesus ay nag-o-organize ng isang grupo to make rebellion against the Roman government. Nabigo siya doon. Kaya nung nabigo siya doon, binago niya yung kanyang strategy. Ano ang strategy na kanyang ginamit? Okay, Matthew 26 verse 64. But Jesus held his peace, and the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God. Parang pinasimpa niya. Sabi niya, sige, magtapat ka. Ikaw ba talaga si Kristo na anak ng Diyos? Dito, hindi na makatanggi si Jesus Christ. Kaya umamin siya. Ang sagot ni Jesus, sabi, thou hast said, sinabi mo. Ang ibig niyang sabihin, yung sinasabi mo yan, totoo. What you said is correct. I am indeed the Christ, the Son of God. Yan po ang punto ng sagot niya. Dahil doon sa sagot ni Jesus na talagang tahasan na pinakilala niya ang kanyang sarili, na siya yung Kristo na anak ng Diyos, yan ang ginamit to condemn him. Ano ang kaso? Ikinaso sa kanya? Blasphemy. Kaya sabi dito, then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, he hath spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy. O, napakinggan nyo na, hindi na natin kailangan ang mayroong further witnesses pa. Siya mismo ang nagsabi, siya ang Kristo na anak ng Diyos. Tapos tinanong niya yung member of the jury, what think ye? They answered and said, he is guilty of death. Ayun, nagkakaisa na yung korte, yung nag-compose ng council, ng Jewish court. Nag-concur na sila, sumang-ayon na sila na siya ay guilty of death. Kaya nahatulan si Jesus Christ dahil doon sa kanyang confession na He is the Christ, the Son of God. Sabi ng Desire of Ages, page 706, 707, at last, Caiaphas, raising his right hand toward heaven, addressed Jesus in the form of a solemn oath. I adjure thee by the living God that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God. To this appeal, Christ could not remain silent. There was a time to be silent and a time to speak. He had not spoken until directly questioned. He knew that to answer would make his death certain. But the appeal was made by the highest authority of the nation, and in the name of the Most High, Christ would not fail to show proper respect for the law. More than this, his own relation to the Father was called in question. He must plainly declare his character and mission. Jesus had said to his disciples, whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. Matthew 10 verse 32. Now, by his own example, he repeated the lesson. Every ear was bent to listen, and every eye was fixed on his face as he answered, Thou hast said. A heavenly light seemed to illuminate his pale countenance as he added, Nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. So dito ay ipinahayag mga kapatid na alam ni Jesus na kapag sasagutin pala niya ng malinaw na siya nga ang Kristo at siya ang anak ng Diyos, that will make sure his death. Pero umurong ba siya? Hindi. Bakit hindi siya umurong? Dahil doon sa kanyang layunin na tayo ay kanyang ililigtas. Kung hindi niya tayo mahal at hindi niya tayo iligtas sa pamagitan ng kamatayan, pwede sana siyang umurong para maiwasan niya yung kamatayan. Pero kahit alam niya na yon ang magpapahamak sa kanya para siya ay pahirapan at patayin, tinanggap pa rin niya ang hamon at hindi siya nagsinungaling, ipinagtapat niya. At yon ang dahilan kung bakit siya ay hinatulan ng kamatayan. Pero yan ay good news sa atin dahil tayo ang nagiging beneficiary ng kanyang kamatayan. Mabuti na lang, kahit natukso siya na bawiin sana yon, iwasan ang kamatayan, pero hindi niya iniwasan dahil sa kanyang layunin na talagang gusto niya na tayo ay tubusin mula sa parusa ng ating mga kasalanan. Kaya purihin natin ang Panginoon sa kanyang nagiging desisyon na ipagtapat sa high priest na tutuong siya ang Kristo na anak ng Diyos. Yan po ang climax ng ating lesson for this week. Sana po ay nakatulong sa bawat isa sa inyo ang ating tinalakay na lesson. Tandaan natin, itong final na lesson na ito, ibig sabihin, dapat po na huwag tayong matakot na i-reveal ang ating identity bilang mga disciples of Jesus Christ, na tayo mga tunay na reformador, kahit na merong mga negative consequences. Huwag po nating itago ang ating real identity dahil lang sa kagustuhan natin na meron tayong advantage na makukuha. Na yung advantage naman na yun is para bang maliit lamang na porsyento kaysa yung loss na makukuha natin kapag dininay natin ang ating Panginoong Hesukristo. Because yung hindi natin pag-reveal ng ating true identity kapag kinakailangan, that constitute a denial of our faith. Kaya huwag po nawa nating gawin yon. Okay, thank you very much mga kapatid sa inyong pakikinig. Purihin po ang Diyos. Pagpalain po tayong lahat. Kung kayo ay hindi pa nakapag-subscribe sa ating programa at hindi pa nakapag-follow sa ating Facebook page, nandyan lang po ang link sa comment section. Thank you very much sa inyong lahat.